that piece of paper.
You are a rowdy group. Let's sit down. No, I'm at church. What a festive group, kind of rowdy. Good morning. Welcome to Vashon Island Unitarian Universalists. My name is Beth White, and I will be your service leader for today. If you're visiting, we are glad that you are here, and we hope that you can feel comfortable to swing over to the food and the coffee afterwards and introduce yourself and join us in conversation. Our congregation is committed to individual freedom of belief, welcomes diversity, seeks to promote a sense of community, and fosters religion, which enriches the spirit. We are a mostly lay-led community, strengthened and enriched by weaving together the volunteer contributions of members and friends. Lots of members and friends contribute. It's quite wonderful. Our community is supported and guided by our minister, Reverend Victoria Poling. So we begin our service. Let's take a moment to take a couple of breaths to be fully present. If you're willing and able, uncross your legs, relax, and bring your attention to your breath and the quietude that we can create right now as we settle in. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Swabash Coast Salish Native people. The Puyallup people have lived on and stewarded these lands since the beginning of time, something like 10,000 years ago, and continue to do so today. We recognize that this land acknowledgement is just one small step toward true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the indigenous peoples of this land and beyond. I'd like to read to you two of our covenants. Back in 2015, we created our Covenant of Right Relations, which serves as a guidepost for us as Unitarians, as VIUUs. And the other day, Mary DeMange read a couple of them, and I was reminded, and I thought, oh, I want to do that when I'm the service leader. So I'm going to read you two. The first is, we heal broken relationships. We affirm that conflict often reflects what is important to us at our deepest level. We listen carefully, remaining open to what others say. We speak candidly with tact, empathy, and good humor. We focus on issues and behaviors, not people and personalities. We recognize human fallibility and call upon ourselves first to look inward, to make amends, seek and offer forgiveness. And the second is we maintain our sacred space. We care for and beautify the places where we gather. We make time for quiet contemplation or prayer, reverence and spiritual expression, tears, laughter, and joy. Our Covenant of Right Relations is on our website. It's really quite powerful and very meaningful. And I urge you, when you think about it, to check it out. Read it again for the second or third time. As Unitarian Universalists, we honor the interdependent web of all existence. We covenant to cherish Earth and all beings by creating and nurturing relationships of care and respect. With humility and reverence, we acknowledge our place in the great web of life, and we work to repair harm and damage human relationships. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived here, you are welcome. Please repeat after me. It is good. It is good to be. It is good to be here together.
Our chalice lighting words are by Reverend Scott Taylor. As we light this flame, may we hear what it has to say. Come back to your center, it calls. Return to the quiet, it whispers. The quiet we long for and longs for us. From the stillness, always a voice arises, if we let it. So come, friends, let us listen once again. Let us find that flame inside that guides us back home.
Okay, it's time for some music. Anne, would you come up? We are going to sing a hymn that we used to sing frequently when we had a different minister, Reverend Elizabeth Stevens, who taught us this beautiful song, and we sang it frequently. It is around. It is in your blue hymnal. It is hymn 1009. Meditation on breathing. If there's anyone here who knows this and would like to join in helping to guide us with this process, that would be great. And so what we'll do is we will all sing it first together, and then Anne's group will start, and then my group will finish. There could be 3 parts, but we'll start with 2 for now. And we'll sing it all the way through after we do it. Thank you, Amy. 3 times. So we'll first sing it once, and then we'll sing it 3 times. So you'll get the drift. So Ann, you start, and then, one more time. Isn't that beautiful? We need to do this more. I really am quite partial to this.
For our opening words, I'll read from A Calm, Clear Place by Jezebel Anat. Let us come into a calm, clear place where we can relinquish our clutter and relax from the busyness of being, where we can breathe in peace and center ourselves in love.
Today, three of us will tell of our experiences of presence in our daily lives. It is a place of different topography. It is not thinking, but a place of stillness, acceptance, of inner spaciousness, where all things are one and the idea of separate self does not exist. Our dear friend Jeff Cole is sick, and Kirk Barker will read Jeff's piece.
Thank you. Thank you for including me. And I have a couple shout outs. First to Jeff Cole, who's at home viewing this. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the honor to read your fine words. Oh my God, I read over it a couple times and deep. I hope I do it justice. Second shout out is to George Lewis. I love his natty dressing. Notice his flannel. Yes. Yes, we're twins. Vashon Thriftway's finest. Okay, here it goes. These are George's words, or excuse me, Jeff's, thank you, Jeff's words. When I lived in Seattle, I was a member of the Three Treasures Zen Buddhist Sangha for about 15 years, meditating daily at home and attending weekly group meditations and several week-long retreats. My piece of today's program is based on my take on the subject, largely inspired and supported by a book on Zen and psychotherapy, Going to Pieces Without Falling Apart, by psychotherapist Mark Epstein. Happily, I was already reading this wise and delightful book when our team chose presence as our topic for today. Some of what I'll say you've heard before when our topic was spirituality, but in somewhat different words. Presence is at the heart of Zen practice. The Zen mind is neither in the past nor future. It is being right here, right now. Pure experience. If we even try to describe it, we usually label it as feeling or sensation. Zen is all about presence without or ahead of words or concepts. Again, Zen is all about presence without or ahead of words or concepts. It's almost impossible to explain and even harder to achieve, as anyone who has tried to meditate for 5 minutes without a thought entering their consciousness will confirm. What I'm talking about then is a level of presence that goes before or beyond concepts, which are expressed in words and which we call thinking. And I made a note to myself, read this again. What I'm talking about then is a level of presence that goes before or beyond concepts, which are expressed in words in which we call thinking. Going before thinking or beyond thinking is difficult to grasp, partly because we are thinking almost all the time. And we do almost all our thinking in words. Our increasingly complex, increasingly fast, increasingly verbal world further upstages this basic level of awareness. The thinking mind remembers itself, Epstein says. He believes that we are cut off from our experience of presence, partially or even wholly, because we are so inclined to mistake concepts expressed in words for experiences. Think about it. That's a joke. Think about it. The mind, Epstein points out, must always have something to do. Boy, I certainly relate to that monkey mind. I was recently reading my journal from about 20 years ago when I came across this 4-word sentence. Saying it changes it. Again, saying it changes it. And that's a problem because it so easily takes our mind to the future or the past. Our minds are running on without us, keeping us at a distance from what we love or from love itself, says Epstein. There's a saying in Zen, the finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. My teammates worry that some folks may not get it, but that's exactly the point. Zen is full of stories that don't make sense in an ordinary way, but can trigger an intuitive understanding that goes beyond words. These riddles, called koans, are used to trick the busy mind running on without us, as Epstein says, often revealing an intuitive pre-verbal truth. Now, this may sound like you have to join a Sangha, have a teacher, and meditate for 20 years. But the truth is, we all have these moments of awareness, of pure presence, but we're thinking and talking too fast to notice them. And even when we notice a special moment, we can't wait to tell someone about it. In words, of course. Epstein says, whether it is in creative work, in play, while listening to music or playing sports, or in love or sex, The most invigorating aspects of our lives involve the ego's remarkable ability to dissolve itself. I love that phrase, the ego's remarkable ability to dissolve itself. How often I rush from the wonder and elation of an experience to thinking about it, turning it into a concept or a story. This is great. Just last week, I stepped out of my car in the co-housing parking lot into a layer of wet leaves on the ground. One large leaf in particular caught my eye. For a moment, it was just the leaf and me, and it took my breath away. Then I thought, I'll take a picture of it. And then I thought, I'll take it in and show Mela. And then I thought, I can use this as an example for my talk at VIUU. I was thinking in concepts and words, and the beauty, the wonder had already faded. Today, the leaf still sits on the window ledge, dry, curled, and dull-colored. Epstein gives an amusing example of how this works. In his youth, he attended a workshop at the Naropa Institute in Boulder, Colorado. Naropa, excuse me. At that time, he was so insecure and self-conscious, he could hardly function. One of his roommates decided to help him, but the roommate didn't try to talk him out of his problems, using words, right? Instead, he taught Epstein to juggle. As his juggling improved, his self-conscious thinking gradually stopped. A personal example, not mine, Jeff's. About 20 years ago, I had the opportunity to fly over Angel Falls in the Venezuelan jungle, believed to be the highest waterfall in the world. And it was in a small commercial plane. A friend of the pilot and his bride were on the same flight. And to give them a special treat, the pilot flew over the amazing falls from several angles, seeming to brush the wings in the spray. Everyone, including me, was crowding the windows with their cameras. It suddenly occurred to me that I was experiencing the falls through a viewfinder lens. And I put the camera down and just looked. A picture of the falls is not the falls. Remember, finger pointing at the moon, etc. I didn't come home with many pictures, but I have wonderful memories. I've mentioned before in our program on spirituality, my experience as a dancer. When I was a beginner, every step, every move I initiated was conscious. In a couple of years, my dancing became more intuitive, and I didn't have to say to myself, okay, now I'll take my partner into a zigzag and finish with a twirl and a dip. I just did it. Once, when I was waltzing with one of my favorite partners, I invented an entirely new move, which surprised me as much as it did her. Without a moment's hesitation, she responded with an original move of her own. You too are in the zone. Oh, excuse me. When I expressed my delight, she simply said, we were in the zone. You too are in the zone when you are so engrossed in a book or riding your bike on Burma Road. Everyone try to ride a bike on Burma, oh my God. Or, and this one is a Vashon specialty, gardening, that you lose track of all time, and more importantly, of yourself. So let's go back to the beginning. The purest aspect of presence is being aware in a non-conceptual, non-verbal, egoless way. It's mysterious, difficult to express in words, and, in my view, spiritual. The alternative, Epstein warns, is this: our own endless and repetitive thoughts can squeeze the life out of life. Brilliant, Brilliant. Isn't that nice? Thank you, Jeff, once again. Pass.
Our work to create this service had unexpectedly deep meaning for me as I moved through the grieving process for my husband, Martin. Our deep dive into the word presence has led me to a new teacher, Eckhart Tolle. Tolle has helped me understand the depth and breadth of the word presence, and he's helped me to understand how I can nurture it in my life. Before our work to create this service, I did not use the word presence, nor did I think of it related at all to my grieving process. That word was simply not in my vocabulary. But I realize now that my experience of presence has helped me move through many layers of grief. In the 2 years since Martin's passing, there have been times when I have been haunted by regret. Regret is a destructive space to be in, a space of anxiety and distraction that takes me away from the love and gratitude that I feel so fully. In this time, I've been searching for how I can lay down this regret. I've worked to stay in the present moment, but I've found it hard to find a way to dislodge myself from the rush of questioning thoughts about the past. So the first way I have experienced presence is in my effort to lay down regret. And Tolle has given me tools to do this. It's important to understand how Eckhart Tolle sees the human condition. He teaches us that humans have a continuous voice in our heads. The voice is constantly bombarding us with judgment, narrations, and thoughts about the past or the future. The mind is a room full of clutter. Tolle urges us to step out of our stream of thinking. In his words, unease, anxiety, and worry are caused by too much future and not enough presence. Guilt, regret, sadness, and all forms of unforgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough presence. So we are caught up in the voices within us, either anticipating the possibilities of the future or reviewing the facts of the past. Tolle teaches that presence occurs when we move out of this thinking mode, when the voices are quieted. I've been asking myself, do I ever experience a cessation of thinking? And after some thought, the best example of an absence of words, and Jeff certainly took us there, is when I have an experience of mystery and wonder. 2 weeks ago, I was raking leaves when I looked up and realized that the light was absolutely stunning. A yellow-orange cast created by the angle of the late afternoon sun and the golden leaves of the trees overhead. The whole of our land was in this magic glaze. I became still and gazed in amazement. No words came into my head, no analysis, no description, only the sensation of colors and textures and a sensation of oneness with the world. Can you recall a similar experience of wonder and awe, where you experienced something absent language, but deep in your body, in your tissue, in your senses? For me, the experience of golden orange light was one of presence. So for me, presence can be experienced at a time when I'm without words. It is awareness without thought. It is a sense of being in a field of awareness, even if I sensed it for only a moment. It's an inner feeling. It's when I have also brought myself to stillness, and stillness is a portal to presence. Eckhart Tolle gives some direction for practicing presence. First, we have a choice of retreating from our usual selves to stillness. Sense perceptions of the world around us. Like stillness, these sense perceptions are an entry point. They're a portal to presence. He suggests intentionally withdrawing from thinking. Intentionally. Look at the vastness of the sky, space, the totality of the forest, the waves against the shore. The sense of wonder I experienced while raking allowed me to move away from the anxiety and distraction of regret. Instead, it allowed me to lay down the regret, and it awakened me, to the sensation of oneness with the world. Eckhart Tolle has also taught me about presence in a second way, in my relationships with dear friends and people I encounter in my daily life. I feel like I literally pulled myself through that first year of grief after Martin's passing. I pulled myself with the help of several friends who I now know were offering me presence. They listened to my story over and over again as I took steps toward healing and comfort. It is this kind of presence that I want to cultivate in my daily life and in my relationships. It's a daily practice for me now. And here's how Tolle describes it. He says, in a genuine relationship, there is an outward flow of open, alert attention toward the other person in which there is no wanting whatever. You are no longer there primarily as a person, but alert presence. As you listen, you are not the mother, the father, wife, friend. You are the alertness and the stillness, the presence that is listening. I want to repeat what Tolle says. In a genuine relationship, there is an outward flow of open, alert attention toward the other person in which there is no wanting whatever. No wanting whatever. That means we do not seek anything for ourselves in this conversation or action. There is no wanting whatever. This is key, as Jeff has talked about, because we are suspending our ego. The third way that presence has been in my life since Martin's passing is through his presence. We have lovingly built our home, our barn, and our gardens since 1976, when we bought a place on the island that people would now tear down. A tiny old house on land that had been homesteaded by the Landers family. We cleared the land of Scotch broom. We cut and split our firewood, built buildings together. Martin's energy is everywhere. He was also a fine woodworker. So our dining table, the chairs around it, our cupboards, doors, tables, and chests, a hutch, and even our fireplace, surround, and mantle were designed and fashioned with his hands and his spirit and his energy. So his presence is absolutely everywhere. I have also found, since he passed, things that he fixed without saying anything to me, so that things would be in good order when I was alone. I've discovered these over the past 2 years, and I anticipate that I have other discoveries still to make. His presence is here, his tenderness and care, and I love it. When I find these touches of Martin, I'm awakened, as Tal says, I'm awakened, as Tal says, to a sense of oneness with something greater than myself. It is a good place to be. So my experiences of presence in the past 2 years of grieving are layered. In my interior, I am learning to be present to the moment. In relationships, I'm learning to be present without wanting. And in my continuing relationship with Martin, I'm being awakened to a sense of oneness with something larger than myself, a sense of unity. It's a good place to be. And in the words of Thomas Merton, you do not need to know what is happening or where it is all going. What you need to recognize are the possibilities and challenges offered by the present moment, and to embrace them with courage, faith, and hope. The world is transparent, and the divine is shining through all the time.
A few months ago, I was driving to the pool and I saw a very familiar scene, yet with new eyes. A squirrel was crossing the road with unspeakable beauty and grace, its long tail following the undulation of its body. This wave of body and tail synchronized was a completely new sight for me, so different from the rodent I usually want to dodge. While driving, I was completely present for this beautiful experience. Nothing else was on my mind. My eyes were fresh, my mind open, my delight heightened. Wonder filled me. And being in an absent-minded state, my mind was not filled with thoughts, plans, or distractions. I believe I was fully present for that moment, present to this experience outside of me, touching me deeply. Imagine photography, what I will call a collected proof of presence. My friends who are professional photographers often hike great distances with their cameras and tripods, only to stand still for hours in all weather, watching, waiting for the right light to capture in a photograph. They have over the years honed the skill of stillness, emptying themselves of all else but to watch and wait, hoping to capture a moment in time for which they have been fully present, their attention focused. They are professional presence holders. Time has been stopped with each photograph. I do believe that time needs to lose its meaning for one to experience presence. As Donna and Jeff have both written, no past, no future, just now, this moment. Annie Dillard wrote in Teaching a Stone to Talk, quote, "At a certain point, you say to the woods, to the sea, to the mountains, to the world, now I am ready. Now I will stop and be wholly attentive." You empty yourself and wait, listening. After a time, you hear it. There is nothing there. The silence is all there is. It is the Alpha and the Omega. You take a step in the right direction and pray to this silence, and pray without ceasing, end quote. Indeed, as all wisdom traditions instruct us to be still. This allows for the possibility of experiencing presence, as you've been hearing, intimately, tenderly, and beautifully. Alan Watts states wonderfully, stop measuring days by degrees of productivity and start experiencing them by degrees of presence. Well, those words were written for me, whose father measured one's value by doing. We had a blackboard in the kitchen with lists, all of the projects needing to be done. No offerings of stillness, no quiet reflection to look deeper into my inner world. For most of my life, in fact, I have reflected at the end of the day on all that I have done. How much did I accomplish? It is only in the last decade or so that I have come to my senses, slowed down, and been encouraged to notice, let go of thinking, and be present for the moment. What I have accomplished each day now takes a backseat to wonder, amazement, and presence. Which brings me to another story. Back in early October, I was walking around my property, taking stock of all the progress of my plants and what October garden projects I needed to tend, when my eyes moved to the left of me. There rested a cluster of raspberries, brilliant in the late afternoon sunlight. Plump, soft, red, yummy raspberries. In no time, I walked into the vegetable garden and picked one, then another, each mouthful of July sweetness. The vine drooped low with berries, and I silently fell into a state of bliss, tasting the sweet tart of July in each berry. Heaven, pure, unadulterated heaven. The world stopped, time stopped, and I was fully present for this delicious gift, not unlike Donna's yellow light and Jeff's beautiful leaf. Stillness and focused attention conspire to invite presence. Let me say that again. Stillness and focused attention conspire to invite presence. In fact, presence truly sends the notion of time out the window. We're invited to let go of the past and the future, worry, regrets, anticipating, planning, in order to find stillness and presence. Jack Kornfield states, most of us have spent our life caught up in plans, expectations, and ambitions for the future, or regrets, guilt, or shame about the past. To come into the presence is to stop the war. I know I have spent way too much time swimming in regrets about mistakes I have made in my life. It doesn't help and does no good for my happiness. And add to this, I am a great planner. It's a wonderful quality to have in leadership, in my personal life, to be productive and to organize myself. Yet the more I'm planning, the farther away I am from the moment, this breath, this felt experience. I am living in the future. Which reminds me of my phone. I was going to bring it up. My blessed phone, a camera, a calendar, a communication device, a shopping hub, a newspaper, it goes on and on, right? I propose that my beloved phone, and perhaps yours as well, is the enemy of presence. It takes me away from my body, into my head, and out into an array of places to distract and entertain me. No stillness here, no presencing. It is a beautiful tool that has its place in our lives and that needs to be set aside, allowing for the possibility that we could be rooted in this present moment. The UUA has a wonderful resource online called Soul Matters, offering a wide array of readings, musical titles, sermons, poetry, all related to this month's theme, such as ours for December, presence. One that caught my eye featured a wise teacher of young children whose lessons taught students how to be present. Listen to this. Mrs. Nelson explained how to stand still and listen to the wind, how to find meaning in pumping gas, how peeling potatoes can be a form of prayer. She took questions on how not to feel lost in the dark. After lunch, she distributed worksheets that covered ways to remember your grandfather's voice. And it goes on. Oh, how I would have loved to have had a teacher or parent who taught me how to see potato peeling as a prayer, or how to remember my grandfather's voice, how to be fully present for every stroke of the hairbrush, every cup of milk I poured for my daughter, how to listen to the wind. Be present, and every moment becomes a prayer instead of a grueling task. I do have another guru of presence, my dog. When I watch her circling and circling her pillow before finally landing at the start of a long nap, she is fully present in her body on her pillow. When she smells a rodent and starts digging furiously, much to my chagrin, she is fully present. In those moments, nothing distracts. Her world is now, rich and full and timeless. I'll end with a quote from Rilke. Once for each thing, just once, no more. And we too, just once, and never again, even if only once, to have been one with the earth seems beyond undoing. Let's have a moment, hold a moment of contemplation and worship. An old English word that means to consider things of worth in a generous and abundant silence. I forgot to mention, please rise when the last time we had that hymn, meditation on breathing. Please rise as you are willing and join us in singing hymn 123, an old favorite, Spirit of Life. 123 in your gray hymnal. Sorry. We'll now pause the recording as we prepare our hearts for joy and sing There Is a Love as you feel comfortable. It's in the front of your hymnal, your gray hymnal, if you don't know it. Love holding me, holding all that I love. I rest in this love. Holding us, holding all that we love. We rest in this love. As members and friends of the Vashon Island Unitarian Universalists, we commit to supporting our congregation. Financial resources help us to pay speakers and staff, support the social justice programs, and maintain our building. Please support VIUU with your pledges and offerings that we can continue to be a vital community. Our congregation engages beyond our walls for peace, social and economic justice, freedom of belief, and protection of our planet and its inhabitants. Once a month, we contribute the financial offering to a regional or national or international organization that aligns with our values. This week's offering supports our beloved community. So would the greeters come and pass baskets? There's just one. Oh, well. Let's just follow Rick around and see if we can do that. I think the other one might be in the office. And as Rick is passing the basket, let's join in singing, "Oh, We Give Thanks." We give thanks for this precious day. We're all gathered here in this far away. Share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. We're all gathered here in this far away. We share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Our closing words are by John O'Donohue. May your inner eye see through the surfaces and glean the real presence of everything that meets you. And we're going to extinguish our chalice with these words by Kyle Johnson. O Spirit that moves through all things, help us see the miracle in the mundane, to see the crystal stars, the shape-shifting clouds, the patient trees, to see each other through fresh eyes. As we move through our lives, let us remember to see the miracle, through the mundane to the miracle beneath. Let me reread that last sentence. As we move through our lives, let us remember to see through the mundane to the miracle beneath.
I want to give special thanks to Catherine Sullivan for being our tech wizard, Leslie McMichael for being our harpist and musician, and Team 3 for setup, which includes my daughter, by the way, who was here with me yesterday to do the greens and the flowers. So it was a real treat to do it with her. Sylvia did the wreath. I know, it's so wonderful. But let's have announcements before we go for goodies. If you have an announcement to share regarding a VIUU activity, please come up and share your announcement.
Hi, I'm Jessica, your little but mighty board at large member. And I have a handful of things, and I'm really sorry, but there's like 3 of them. The first thing is that I know we are all putting our phones down, but you can donate through PayPal to our beloved community. And if anyone wants a tutorial for how to do that, you just do the drop-down menu on our website. It'll say donate, you click on that, and then you do donate through PayPal. So if anybody wants to learn how to do that, because sometimes we forget our purse or our wallet or whatever, or you want to do it afterwards at home, I'm happy to show anybody who wants to donate through that means. Second thing, speaking of donations, in the spirit of giving this season, as a congregation, we voted to form a community giving fund And we, as the board, will be gathering input from all of you about where the first distribution of that fund will go. We would like to disperse it twice a year. And so I will be working on some questions to go out in a survey that goes out by email. And then I'm going to bring some paper copies in so that you can just check the box or write in what your thoughts are to give us some input on that. And then lastly, don't forget, as you have your treats, that we are washing our own dishes and working to be a green community here. And we have landfill, recycle, and then Ridwell, which is for all the little plastic bits that don't go anywhere. So please review what can be recycled. The recycle bin is below the microwave in our little kitchen. And that's it. Little but mighty.
My name's Catherine. I've got 3. I'll go super quick too. If you know a Unitarian, you know we love a committee, and we've got lots of committee meetings this week. On Tuesdays, the Social Justice Committee, it meets online on Zoom at 4 o'clock. Just use the Sunday service link if you want to join us. Thursday is the Sunday Service Committee group, the folks that kind of help oversee all of Sunday services. We meet here here, Lewis Hall at 11 o'clock on Thursday. And then next Sunday, I think the date is the 22nd. We're super lucky. We get Reverend Victoria twice this month, and she's going to be leading us on a reflection of solstice and all the good holidays that happen this time of year. So thank you.
What a lead in. I have 3 also. And speaking of solstice, you may remember that next Thursday, we are having a solstice party. Woohoo! So it's at 3 o'clock after a few meetings that are going to be happening here. And it's at 3 o'clock. It's in the daytime, but we will go into the darkness. Thursday, the 19th, next Thursday. And we're going to have fondue, cheese fondue, and soup, and Christmas cookies, and some liquid. We don't quite have enough signups yet. There is a yellow pad over there by the food. We would love for you to keep adding your name to things. So think about it. It should be fun. This is sort of our one and only party that we've got planned so far. And also bring a string of lights that you will plug in somewhere, and we'll turn these silly lights off, and we'll have a festive bring in the lights celebration. The next announcement is in response to our beloved Dennis and Maya. It was so wonderful to see him come in his bicycle outfit. He's disappeared again, so he's probably gone to Auburn or something. Anyway, 2 things. Dennis still needs meals, and blessings on each of you who brought meals. I have a sign-up sheet there for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of this week. If you're willing or able, you can write your name down. And then finally, I also brought Maya's address of where she is living in the Canterbury house. If you would like to possibly send her a card or visit her, you could just take a picture with that wonderful phone that we were talking about earlier. And then you'll have a way to find out where to visit her if you wish. There's more announcements coming.
Dennis would really appreciate my getting, I don't know how extensive a network of friends she has, and her daughter's here now, which is really important. I'm going to go visit her on Wednesday. If we just had one person a week go, I think it would make a difference. And Auburn, I think the place, at least when I Googled it, it's about 30 to 35 minutes on the other side of the ferry, a little north of Tacoma and east on 60, Tacoma Ferry, South End. So you're going to go to the South End Ferry, head on I-5 going north, and you're going to take a right at some point. I think it's Route 16, but I'm not sure. But if you Google map the address, it's Canterbury House, and even if you Google that, you'll find it on the website. On the right.
I am Kirk, and Catherine mentioned a bunch of committees that we have, and I'm here to encourage our friends and members to consider joining one of the committees. And I have a little partner here, Stewie, the Stewardship Committee mascot. Yeah, and Stewie wanted me to remind you, if you wanted to join the Stewardship Committee or this annual summer retreat committee, we're looking for new blood and extra help, because you know what? We had a board meeting and the board is taking on a lot of these tasks and so we need some help. So that's what I encourage you to do. I printed out, if you're interested in the Stewardship Committee, there's policies and procedures, and I printed out a copy of them, and it kind of describes what is required of a committee. So, and the members to carry that out. Yeah, so consider it, please. Okay, thanks. Come on.
Good morning, I'm Vicky, and I just have another plug here for Thursday. Last week, before I left the hall, I went through all the cupboards and gathered up all the Christmas tablecloths. I don't think some of them got washed last year, so I took all of them home and they're all clean and hanging up. And the joy I found in washing those tablecloths, because it's such a special time to gather. I mean, we all have families, and sometimes families are really hard to be with at holidays. And this group is just so fun. I mean, it just has such a good time. And so if you have a Christmas anything that you'd like to bring to set on the table for the evening, I would really like it if everybody would bring some absurd white elephant gift wrapped up like a treasure. And we could just offer each person one and open them and laugh and take each other's. And how many of you like to bring a treasure to share wrapped beautifully? And you only get to take one if you bring one. Or you could bring extras if you think someone might forget. Oh, well, yes, we're going to have a swap meet. It's going to be really fun. So I just love these gatherings. I love to set up. I love to clean up. I don't really like to go to parties. I just like to plan them and work at them. But sounds like another committee. It's not a committee, but if you can come early and help us spread tablecloths or decorate, or just imagine everybody brings a string of lights. We're going to have a party, folks. And I'm going to bring some Prosecco, and I hope everybody else does too. Thank you.
Thinking that we need one of those three plug prongs, because there are going to be so many lights. Oh, extension cords, that would be good too. Before we go in peace, let's take a moment to listen to Leslie's postlude. Thank you so much, Leslie. Please stand so that we can sing each other out, as we once did years ago to all of our children when they went to religious exploration.